12 German coupes that look slow but are secret monsters. Welcome back. Today we're cracking open the polished shell of German engineering to find the wild beasts hiding inside. These are the coupes your neighbor's grandma might drive to Sunday brunch, yet they pack enough power to turn the Autobahn into their personal playground. From calm chrome to quiet chaos, here are 12 German coupes that look slow but are secret monsters. 12. Mercedes-Benz CLK 500 C209 2002 to 2006. The Mercedes-Benz CLK 500 was the kind of car you could see parked outside a dentist's office and never think twice about. It had the shape of a laid-back luxury coupe, a little too sensible to be exciting and a little too quiet to be sporty. But this was exactly how Mercedes wanted it. Beneath the calm surface lived a 5-liter M113 V8 engine that made 302 horsepower and 339 pound-foot of torque, paired with a 5-speed automatic that sent power to the rear wheels in a wave of buttery smooth torque. It was not an AMG, but it did not need to be. This thing could sprint from 0 to 60 miles per hour in under 6 seconds, which was enough to surprise anyone expecting a leisurely cruiser. What made the CLK 500 special was its dual personality. One moment, it glided along in silence, isolating you from the world with soft suspension and impeccable refinement. The next, it could snarl to life, digging its rear tires into the tarmac as the V8 delivered a deep, confident roar that felt entirely out of place for something so proper-looking. It was never built to draw attention. It was built to make you smirk every time you left someone behind at a light. For those who knew what they were buying, the CLK 500 was the ideal undercover machine. A car that could outrun a sports coupe, yet still look right at home in the valet lane of a country club. 11. Volkswagen Corrado VR6 1991 to 1995. The Volkswagen Corrado VR6 is one of those cars that proved you should never judge performance by the badge on the hood. On the surface, it looked like a stylish but mild-mannered hatchback, the kind of car a college professor might have driven in the early 90s. Yet under its compact frame hid something remarkable. The 2.9-liter VR6 engine, a narrow-angle V6, was both smooth and sonorous. It pumped out 190 horsepower and 181 pound-feet of torque, sending it to the front wheels through a crisp manual gearbox. That might not sound wild today, but in its time, those numbers made the Corrado VR6 faster than many sports cars wearing far more exotic badges. The Corrado was not just about straight-line speed either. Volkswagen fitted it with a sophisticated chassis, tight steering, and one of the coolest tricks of the decade, an active rear spoiler that automatically raised itself at high speeds. It could go from 0 to 60 miles per hour in about 6.4 seconds, but it was the way it felt that made it unforgettable. The VR6 sang a unique growl as it climbed through the revs, turning this tidy coupe into a driver's delight. Most people saw it as a quirky little VW, but behind the wheel, it felt like a proper piece of German engineering with a rebellious streak. The Corrado VR6 was that polite kid in class who secretly rode a motorcycle after school, quiet in the parking lot and loud where it counted. 10. Mercedes-Benz CL600 C140. The Mercedes-Benz CL600 C140 is what happens when luxury and lunacy meet under one roof. On the surface, it looked like a gentle giant, a massive grand tourer built for dignitaries who preferred silence and smooth rides. But under the hood sat a wild 6-liter V12 engine producing around 389 horsepower and 570 newton-meters of torque. It could glide from 0 to 60 miles per hour in just over 6 seconds, which is impressive for a car weighing nearly 2 tons. The CL600 was designed to whisper, not shout. Inside, it offered thick carpets, soft leather, and more wood than a country estate. It was built for comfort, not chaos, yet it could surge forward with the effortless authority of a private jet taking off. The V12 was so smooth that you barely noticed the speed building until the scenery started blurring. Most people dismissed it as a plush cruiser for the elite, but in reality, it was a heavyweight sprinter. The C140 hid its strength behind perfect manners, never breaking its calm composure, even when it roared to triple digits. It proved that power does not always come with noise. Sometimes it wears a suit, carries itself with class, and still has the muscle to humble a sports car. 9. Opel Calibra Turbo 4x4. The Opel Calibra Turbo 4x4 was the kind of car that could slip past you in traffic without turning a single head. With its clean curves and soft early 90s styling, it looked more like a family commuter than a performance coupe, but looks were only half the story. Under its calm exterior sat a 2-liter turbocharged engine, producing 201 horsepower and a healthy 280 Newton-meters of torque. Paired with a 6-speed manual and a full-time 4-wheel drive system, it could sprint from 0 to 60 miles per hour in around 6.8 seconds, a serious figure for the time. What made the Calibra truly special was how balanced and composed it felt. The chassis was derived from the Vectra platform, but Opel engineers gave it a much sharper setup, with independent suspension and that clever all-wheel drive system that distributed power seamlessly. It could handle twisty back roads like a proper sports car while maintaining the comfort of a daily driver. Despite its potential, the Calibra Turbo never got the credit it deserved. It was overshadowed by flashier rivals and forgotten by those who mistook its simple looks for mediocrity. Yet anyone who drove one knew the truth that this coupe was a calm face hiding a storm under the hood, a real sleeper that could surprise cars twice its price. 8. Volkswagen Passat CC V6 4Motion. The Volkswagen Passat CC was the car that made people double-take at traffic lights. It looked elegant, almost too elegant, with its coupe-style roofline and chrome trim. Most assumed it was another mild-mannered executive sedan, but beneath that tasteful shell hid a 3.6-liter narrow-angle V6 that packed nearly 300 horsepower. Paired with VW's 4Motion all-wheel drive system and a lightning-fast DSG gearbox, the CC V6 could hit 100 kilometers per hour in around 5.6 seconds, a time that made sports car owners raise their eyebrows. It was a sleeper in a business suit, capable of pulling off both highway dominance and dinner date duty. Inside, it spoiled the driver with plush leather and understated German design. But the fun began when the road turned twisty. The 4Motion system distributed power intelligently, allowing the car to corner with composure far beyond what its styling suggested. It never got the recognition it deserved because it wore a VW badge instead of an Audi or BMW logo, but that was part of its charm. The CC was the kind of car that your uncle might buy for the looks and end up keeping for the performance. 7. Mercedes-Benz CL500 C215. The CL500 often fooled people into thinking it was a chauffeur's dream rather than a driver's weapon. Built between 1999 and 2006, it shared its bones with the mighty S-Class, but added sleeker lines and cutting-edge technology like active body control, a hydraulic suspension that made its nearly 2-ton weight feel half of what it was. Under the hood sat a 5-liter V8, producing 302 horsepower and 339 pound-foot of torque, mated to a 5-speed automatic that delivered a velvet-smooth surge of acceleration. It was fast, but it never shouted about it. The CL was the automotive version of quiet confidence. Owners often joked that the car was more capable than its driver. At high speeds, the cabin remained so silent it was almost eerie, and the adaptive suspension made corners feel less like turns and more like polite suggestions. Many buyers chose it for comfort, unaware they were piloting a near 300 kilometers per hour Grand Tour that could match pace with contemporary Jaguars and Bentleys. The CL500 was luxury in disguise, a machine that whispered while others screamed. 6. Audi Coupe GT B2. The Audi Coupe GT looked like the Quattro's quieter cousin, the one that preferred jazz to heavy metal. It shared much of its styling with the legendary rally hero, but not its fame, which made it one of the most underrated coupes of the 1980s. The Coupe GT used Audi's inline-5 engine, a motor that produced a signature growl and delivered around 136 horsepower in stock form. That may not sound like much, but the car's lightweight and tight gearing gave it surprising agility. In the hands of tuners, this engine could easily cross the 200 horsepower mark, turning the humble GT into a corner-carving beast that few saw coming. Audi built it with the same focus on build quality and precision that defined their rally era. The Coupe GT handled beautifully, especially with its front-engine layout and optional sport suspension. It was a car that didn't need to shout for attention. It rewarded those who looked closer. To the casual observer, it seemed like a student's first car. To those who knew, it was a stealthy German machine that could outpace cars twice its price and still look classy doing it. 5. Mercedes-Benz 230 CE. At first glance, the Mercedes-Benz 230 CE looked like the kind of car your retired uncle might drive to Sunday brunch. But beneath that dignified exterior was a platform that tuners adored. Produced through the 1980s and early 1990s, the 230 CE was part of the W123 and W124 series, known for bulletproof reliability and vault-like build quality. What few realized was how well these engines and chassis responded to modification. Tuned versions often received turbo kits or engine swaps from larger AMG or Brabus models, pushing output from the stock 130 horsepower to well over 250. With lowered suspension and upgraded differentials, these coupes transform from slow cruisers into Autobahn predators. Even in stock form, the 230 CE carried a balance and poise that made it fun to drive, especially with the smooth inline-4 or inline-6 engines paired to classic rear-wheel drive. The cabin smelled of leather and walnut trim, while outside it still looked every bit the conservative executive's car. That was the trick. It never bragged. A well-tuned 230 CE could blow past modern compacts while the driver sat calmly behind the wheel, sipping coffee from a porcelain mug, proving that elegance and speed could quietly coexist. 4. Mercedes-Benz CLK 55 AMG C208. The Mercedes-Benz CLK 55 AMG was a wolf that wore silk instead of wool. From a distance, it looked like a typical early 2000s luxury coupe, built for Sunday drives and polite applause at golf club parking lots. But underneath that refined exterior lived a handcrafted 5.4-liter V8 engine, producing 342 horsepower and 376 pound-foot of torque. This engine, built by AMG's performance division, could launch the CLK 55 from 0 to 60 in just over 5 seconds, giving it the pace of a proper sports car while maintaining the poise of a limousine. Inside, it was pure luxury, wrapped in leather, wood, and quiet confidence. The car glided over roads effortlessly, only revealing its ferocious side when the accelerator was pressed. At full throttle, the calm composure vanished, replaced by a deep mechanical growl that reminded you exactly what AMG stood for. What made it brilliant was its duality. It looked like a car for executives, but drove like something designed for the Autobahn. The CLK 55 AMG was proof that real performance did not always need wings or racing stripes. Sometimes it just needed a sharp suit, a good tailor, and the kind of V8 that could make even the quietest driver grin like a troublemaker. 3. Audi S2 Coupe. The Audi S2 Coupe was the kind of car that could sit in a quiet parking lot without a single person noticing it, yet under its plain design lived the soul of a rally icon. Introduced in 1990 as the spiritual successor to the original Quattro, it carried a 2.2-liter turbocharged inline-5 engine, one of Audi's most beloved power plants. In its standard form, the engine produced 230 horsepower and 258 pound-foot of torque, channeled through a 5-speed manual gearbox and Audi's famous Quattro all-wheel drive system. That combination allowed the S2 to reach 60 miles per hour in about 5.7 seconds, which put it right alongside cars that looked much wilder and cost much more. The magic of the S2 was in its dual personality. On the outside, it looked civilized, the sort of coupe a literature professor might drive to campus. Inside, however, it carried the engineering precision of a rally car built for all-weather performance. The turbocharged inline-5 gave off a distinctive, throaty growl that became a signature sound among enthusiasts, a mechanical symphony that mixed with the rush of boost to create pure driving joy. Audi's attention to detail in the chassis made it nimble and confident on every surface, from wet roads to icy mountain passes. It never flaunted its potential, and that was part of its charm. The styling was smooth, understated, and practical, free of spoilers or exaggerated flares. Yet in the hands of tuners, the S2 was anything but modest. The turbocharged engine responded beautifully to upgrades, easily crossing the 350 or even 400 horsepower mark with simple modifications. It could humble supercars while looking like an accountant's daily commuter. That quiet capability earned it a reputation as one of the greatest sleeper coupes of its time, proof that true power often hides in plain sight. 2. BMW 850 CSI E31. The BMW 850 CSI was the quiet storm of the 1990s, a grand tour that combined futuristic design with serious performance. It was the top version of the original 8 Series and secretly carried the DNA of BMW's M division. Beneath its long hood rested a 5.6-liter V12 engine that produced 375 horsepower and more than 400 pound-feet of torque. It sent that power to the rear wheels through a 6-speed manual transmission, creating a smooth but powerful drive that felt effortless at high speed. For a car that weighed nearly 2 tons, its performance was astonishing. The 850 CSI was engineered to perfection. It came with 4-wheel steering, which made it unusually agile, and an advanced suspension system that balanced comfort and control even on demanding roads. Inside, it offered the quiet confidence of classic BMW luxury, with thick leather seats and elegant controls that made the driver feel cocooned in sophistication. It never wore the official M badge, yet its engineering was the work of the same team. making it an M car in spirit. Only around 1,500 examples were built, turning it into one of BMW's rarest achievements. Owning one meant joining an unspoken club of enthusiasts who valued subtle excellence over loud statements. The 850 CSI did not need attention to prove its power. It glided through the world with a calm authority that few cars could match, a machine built for those who understood that true greatness often hides behind quiet confidence. 1. Mercedes-Benz 300 CE 6.0 AMG Hammer. The Mercedes-Benz 300 CE 6.0 AMG, often called the Hammer, completely redefined what a luxury coupe could be. In the late 1980s, AMG was still an independent tuner, and they decided the elegant 300 CE needed a far more brutal soul beneath its polished surface. They replaced the original engine with a 6-liter V8 from the larger S-Class, tuned it to around 385 horsepower, and created a monster that could outrun many supercars of its time. While most performance sedans struggled to reach 200 horsepower, this quiet executive coupe thundered past 180 miles per hour and did it while looking dignified and reserved. The magic of the Hammer was in how quietly it carried its aggression. There was no flashy body kit or oversized spoiler, only subtle wheel arches, a lowered stance, and classic AMG wheels that hinted at something extraordinary. Inside, it was pure luxury, with soft leather and wood trim, giving no clue to the chaos that lived under the hood. Each car was hand-built and cost a fortune, which made it incredibly rare. At one point, it was the fastest four-door car in the world, outpacing exotic sports cars while carrying 3 passengers in comfort. The Hammer proved that real performance does not need to shout. It became the ancestor of every modern sleeper, AMG, a car that looked like a gentleman but fought like a prizefighter. Even today, it commands respect as one of the most perfect blends of refinement and raw power ever built. And there you have it, 12 German coupes that look like they belong in a retiree's driveway, but roar like thunder when the light turns green. If quiet beasts and hidden horsepower get your heart racing, hit that subscribe button before these sleepers wake up and leave you in the dust.